Hey everyone, this is Derek, and this is starting off chapter 3, which is going to be linear equations in two variables. And in this first section, we're just looking at kind of remembering how to plot points, the Cartesian coordinate system, and then finding intercepts of a line. So let me remind you a little bit about the Cartesian coordinate system. It's also called the rectangular coordinate system. If you remember, generally x was our horizontal and y was generally our vertical axes. The first quadrant over here, it's Roman numerals, so it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, so counterclockwise. And you can kind of see the signs there. It makes sense. Positive to the right, negative to the left, positive up, negative down. One thing about when you're typing ordered pair, and then ordered pair take the form xy. Let me write that a little bit bigger. And so this is how we were plotting points. So x is going to be our horizontal coordinate, and then y will be our vertical coordinate. So this represents the single point, so it'd be like we would be counting over so many in x and so many up or down in y. When we're typing these in the computer, so say we're typing -2, 3, you have to type the parentheses unless it sets it up with a box where it's just sort of missing that one spot. Other than that, important to type the parentheses and the comma. Okay, so this first question is just graphing some ordered pair. So that first point is 4, 2. So when x is 4, and if you're someone who has a tendency to maybe get left and right a little bit backwards, and I am a person with that tendency, if you watch me, every time I'm graphing a point, I'm going, when x is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm moving my pen over there to 4, y is 2. So now I can't screw up x because I'm already there, and then I'm just counting up on my 2. So this point is 4, 2. So 4, 2 represents that single point, doesn't represent 2 points. 1, -3, so when x is 1, so you can see me moving over to here, y would be -3, so that's going to go down 1, 2, 3 boxes. So that would be right there, so that one is B. C, 0, 0, that is that point right there in the middle, and that is called the origin, and so that's where we're counting everything from. And then -3, -4, so when x is -3, 1, 2, 3, y is -4, so that will be down again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I kind of count boxes rather than lines. Just with the lines, sometimes people get mixed up on counting the 0. So I just think 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes as I'm doing it. Okay, and then the remainder of this section is about finding x and y intercepts. And in this section, we're just looking at it for lines, but this will generalize to other equations later in math. So anytime we're finding an x-intercept, it's going to have the form of some number represented by a and 0. So that's kind of what this is showing. So the first coordinate is going to be some value, and then the second coordinate is going to be 0. And so if we're looking for an x-intercept, we let y equal 0. So we're always letting the opposite value equal 0. Same thing here for the y-intercept, has the form 0b. So when x is 0, y is some value. So that's what that would be representing. And so to find a y-intercept, we let x equal 0. So essentially to find an intercept, we let the other variable equal 0 and solve. So what we're doing with this is we're supposed to find the x and y intercepts for the following equation, specify each as an ordered pair. And so we're going to write them in this form. And then that's also how the computer probably wants them. Use the intercepts to graph the equation. Okay, so right here, this is in almost, this is I think general form. I'm going to move the 20 over because it is easier for me, and hopefully you'll see why in just a second. So this is called standard form, and we'll see this in later sections. But when we have x and y on one side, no fractions, and then that constant term on the other, that's going to be standard form. And then often when we're in this form, intercepts is going to be the easy way to graph. The form coming up, which is going to be called slope-intercept form, that one is, this is not the best way to graph, but we'll see it anyhow. Okay, so we're going to let x equal 0. We'll find a y-intercept. Actually, I don't want to let y equal 0. We'll do them in order. So let y equal 0, and that means we're finding an x-intercept. So if y is 0, this piece just drops out, right? Because this would be 0 times 5, so that's all gone. So when I let y equal 0, I have 4x equals -20. Dividing over my 4 gives me x equals -5. So as an ordered pair, this would be x is -5 when y is 0. And then I'll do the same thing, but this time I'll let x equal 0. So if I let x equal 0, that's going to look like negative 5y equals negative 20. And then let's divide over the negative 5 on both sides. And then that gets us y equals 4. So there's our x-intercept, and then our y-intercept will be 0, 4. And so that was part A. Then part B is to use these two intercepts to graph. So notice that my answer is not negative 5, 4, right? Negative 5, 4 is some point. It's x is negative 5 when y was 0, and then y was 4 when x was 0. And people often get that mashed up and wrong. So okay, x is negative 5, y is 0, and when x is 0, y is 4. And then we would just draw a line through those. That'd be it. So this one's part B of that last question. So same directions, find x and y intercept and graph. So if I let x equals 0, so I guess I'm finding y-intercept first this time. I think I naturally just picked the easy one. So negative 1/4 of 0 minus 4, and we get y equals negative 4. So you can see if we're in this y equals something x with something on the end, mx plus b, this number on the end is always going to be the y-intercept, because when we let x equal 0, it's going to drop out. So here we have when x is 0, y is negative 4. So we really don't have to do that math. If we're in this form, that number on the end is always going to be it. And we'll see that coming up in the next couple sections. So then we're going to find the x-intercept, which isn't as great on this one. And actually, I think in the notes, I actually changed that to a 1 because I realized I was way off the graph. So when we're letting y equal 0, let me write that out actually. So 0 equals negative 1/4 x minus 1. So now I'll go ahead and I'll add this 1 to both sides. And that will give me 1 equals negative 1/4 x. And then let's multiply both sides by negative 4 to kill off this fraction. So that gets me negative 4 equals, that all cancels, x. So as an ordered pair, that would be negative 4 and 0. So when, oh, actually, that's right, I changed this value. So this is now a 1. So now that we have that, when x is 0, y is negative 1, and now my graph makes sense. And when x is negative 4, y is 0. So I'll be right there. Okay, number 3 goes after h hours of driving, the amount of fuel in gallons G in Derek's gas tank is given by the equation G equals 15 minus 2.5 H. So let me write that down here a bit larger. Part A is find the intercepts. And so this time our x, quote unquote x is H, and our quote unquote y is now G. So the y-intercept is going to be when h is 0. So when h is 0, then that's going to be 15 right there, because that'll just drop out. So then to find the h-intercept, I would have to let g equal 0, and that's when I have to do a little bit of work. So I'll add this, 0.25 h over. And then I'll divide out the 2.5. And h is, what would that be, 6. So the h-intercept is at 6. And in this case, it might just want a 6 there because it's asking for the intercept. I'm going to write it as 6, 0, just to kind of show the ordered pairs on the graph. But that might just want a 6 and a 15, depending on how that box is formatted. B, so now I graph the line. Cool, so I got my intercept, so that won't be bad. When x is 6, y is 0. And when x is 0, y is 15. So that would be something like that. And then the last part is, what do the intercepts represent in terms of the problem? So if this is the, after H hours of driving, the amount of fuel in my tank is G, it looks like after I haven't gone anywhere, probably on a full tank, looks like 15 gallons. So that's at T equals 0. So you can kind of assume that's I filled up my tank. And it looks like 6 hours later here, I have no fuel. So I should probably get fuel because I will be out of gas in 6 hours.